Welcome to our VR News monthly podcast, where we feature how virtual reality is impacting our society. This is your host, Nash-Puente from the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. In our podcast for December 2020, we will be discussing how virtual reality used as a method of delivery of instruction within K-12 has been limited, and its effects on young learners is wide open for upcoming research. As we continue to endure this global emergency of coronavirus or COVID-19 pandemic, many industries and sectors have been disrupted. Educators continue to engage in distance learning. Emerging technologies surface and hope to affect society's landscapes in a positively disruptive way. With this shift to remote learning, many educators are now looking to virtual reality technologies to support learning and help engage students in a meaningful way. As we declared in our last podcast, virtual reality is defined as a computer-generated simulation of a three-dimensional environment with a real-life or physical way for a person to interact with special equipment, usually a headset or HMD. We begin with results from searching for studies to verify the efficacy of VR as a method of delivery of instruction. One can find a scarcity in studies having been conducted within the K-12 landscape. This may imply that VR is still in its infancy as an emerging technology within the education field. From Tula 2019 explains that although the use of virtual reality is not yet as widespread when compared to other devices such as touchscreen tablets or smartphones, the challenges posed by COVID-19 could potentially be a turning point for this technology. It has become interesting, on the other hand, that as Gomez in 2019 declares, virtual reality is increasingly being recognized as the next frontier for communication, collaboration, and learning. As with any emerging technology, with investment and as time elapses, VR is bound to grow exponentially. Augmented and virtual reality have found their way into classrooms throughout countless institutions throughout the world. There have been research studies on VR and its effects conducted in the higher ed sector to very encouraging results. Gomez in 2019 laments, however, that we still need to study these VR technologies to measure their effect on retention, comprehension, and motivation to learn beyond higher ed to encompass K-12 institutions. In another literature review evaluating the efficacy and the effects of VR, revealed countless examples of successful applications in fields such as medical education, military simulations, and engineering and scientific endeavors, but limited results for K-12 landscapes. Normally, these research studies end with the recommendations for further research possibilities to extend beyond their niche sector. There have been some research studies within the STEM fields in middle and high schools with amazing results on motivation. One such exciting teaching success story of immersion by using virtual reality games to teach hails from Switzerland, where they use Oculus Rift headsets to reproduce crime scenes in law enforcement classes. As shown in these classes, VR offers learners countless possibilities of practice for challenges encountered later in their future professional careers. Halaby in 2019 recommends VR when he posits, this also builds on the growing body of studies on how VR can be used successfully within the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM curricula, especially with recent availability of very low cost and standalone VR headsets. Recently, Peng in 2020 declared that as a high-dimensional medium which is more conducive to absorption, understanding, acceptance of children, VR enhances the student's learning experience. Here, we find that VR has the potential to make learning more enjoyable by allowing students to translate their personal experiences, emotions, and memories to the virtual environment. Yet, limited research within K-12 landscapes exists. Recently, the research is shifting to determine how VR influences learning and retention. Evidence is mounting now from the medical sectors where VR and VRS, or virtual reality simulation, are used. Extron in 2018 shares evidence that when compared to traditional paper-based training, virtual reality technology may be a logical next step for enhanced three-dimensional and interactive learning. In conclusion, during this pandemic, educators are searching for emerging technologies which can foster learning experience for students normally relegated to traditional methods. It has become clear that virtual reality is the next step in remote teaching and learning. Now imagine, if you can for a minute, the possibilities of VR applications within K-12 and higher ed landscape. As an educator, how would you use VR to teach students to transport, immerse, and embody themselves in virtual environments within your classrooms safely? How can you and your students contribute to this exciting field of educational technology by conducting research using VR immersive environments? Hopefully, it will soon become a reality. This is Nash-Puente from VR News Monthly Podcast saying, take care of yourself, and we'll hear from you next month.